Picture this. You're rolling down a dusty back road in a 1994 Chevrolet Silverado 1500. The radio's crackling out 90s country hits, your arms hanging out the window, and you don't have a single care in the world because this truck can take anything you throw at it. But behind that relaxed vibe, secrets. Serious, shocking secrets that even Chevy fans forget. Stuff like why it's still the go-to for ranchers and restorers, or why it can tow more than some new trucks without even complaining. Today, we're opening the hood on every mystery, every design choice, and every "wait, it could do that" moment this old-school legend is hiding. But before we drop this knowledge payload, smash that subscribe button like you're slamming the tailgate shut on a stubborn old cooler. Trust me, you won't want to miss anything on AbTech Lab. All right, let's do this. Let's get greasy right off the bat. The engines, because the 1994 Silverado 1500 wasn't one-size-fits-all. Chevy made sure you had choices. You had the work-ready 4.3 LV6, about 165 horsepower, 235 lb-ft of torque, cheap to run, easy to fix, and it still felt like it had something to prove. Then came the 5.0 LV8. This was the middle child. 175 horsepower, around 270 lb-ft of torque. It was the choice for people who said, yeah, I tow sometimes, but mostly I just want a V8 badge. But the real legend, the 5.7 LV8, that was the big kahuna. Around 210 horsepower, 300 lb-ft of torque, and a reputation for surviving anything. You could skip oil changes like a rebel, not recommended, but people did it. Tow a boat to the lake every weekend, and it just kept asking for more. And for the diesel lovers, Chevy offered the 6.5L turbo diesel V8. That was the choice if you were hauling cattle, horses, or, your entire extended family in a trailer. These engines were overbuilt, understressed, and easy to fix with basic tools. If an engine could give you a thumbs up, these would. But as strong as the powertrain was, it had a secret partner in crime, the transmission. And that's where things get even more interesting. Stick around, because what Chevy did with the gearbox will surprise you. You can't talk about a 94 Silverado without talking about the 4L60E Chevy's famous 4-speed automatic. This transmission was the first time they fully embraced electronic controls, so it was modern for the era. Sure, early ones had quirks, like the occasional hunting for gears like they were lost at sea, but with maintenance, it went forever. And for the DIYers, rebuilding a 4L60E was practically a rite of passage. Plus, for the purists, the 5-speed manual was an option too. Imagine ripping gears in a farm truck, because real drivers know 3 pedals equal sign more fun. Now let's talk towing. Even bone stock, these trucks could tow up to 7,500 pounds. That's a small house. Okay, a small mobile house. Owners pulled boats, campers, horse trailers. Heck, some people used them as makeshift tow trucks. And the best part? The Silverado barely grunted. That combo of engine and transmission gave it a towing reputation that newer trucks still cite in marketing. But if you think that's impressive, wait till you hear about the frame and the hidden engineering that made all of this even possible. Because the next secret is literally built into the bones of the Silverado. Chevy didn't mess around with the 1994 Silverado 1500's frame. They gave it a fully boxed front section and a strong C-channel design in the rear. Translation? This thing was designed to take hits, not just potholes. We're talking hitting rocks on a work site, bashing into fences, ask any rancher, and surviving decades of salty roads without folding in half. Many modern trucks use fully boxed frames now, but back in '94, Chevy's design balanced strength with repairability. You bend it, heat, hammer, done. It was the sort of truck frame that could get wrecked in a minor crash and local welders would just say, "Hold my beer," and fix it in an afternoon. Even better, the bed and cab mounts were overbuilt. People joke that the cab would rust before the frame even noticed. It's no wonder these trucks were favourites for fleet buyers, construction workers, and anyone who treated their vehicles like battering rams. But even the best frame needs the right suspension to work magic, and Chevy's choices there were just as sneaky. Coming up next, the suspension secrets that made this truck a master of rough roads and big loads. The 1994 Silverado 1500 was the ultimate business in front, party in the back truck. Let's break that down. Up front, Independent front suspension. This wasn't common in all trucks yet, and it gave the Silverado surprisingly good ride comfort. Think about it. You could be pulling a horse trailer and drinking coffee without wearing it. In the back, leaf springs, baby. Because when it's time to work, it's time to work. Those springs were designed to handle heavy loads without sagging like your uncle's old recliner. It was a balance that let the Silverado feel civilized on pavement, but still laugh in the face of a 2,000 pound payload. And Chevy even offered different suspension packages. There was the Z71 off-road package, underbody skid plates, stiffer shocks, bigger tires. Basically, I go hunting in places the map doesn't even show starter pack. People who grew up in these trucks still say it was the first time they realized a full-size pickup could feel smooth and tough at the same time. But comfort wasn't just about suspension. The interior had its own surprises, and some of them will crack you up. Stay tuned, because next we're going inside this time capsule of 90s design. Let's open the door and climb in. First thing you notice? Simplicity. None of this 26-inch touchscreen stuff, just good old-fashioned knobs and buttons big enough to use with work gloves. The bench seats? Absolute couches on wheels. And if you had the extended cab, you could technically fit 5 adults, or at least 3 adults, and 2 people you didn't like very much. And let's talk about that dashboard. Analog gauges that actually worked. A cassette player that probably had an old Garth Brooks tape stuck in it. HVAC controls that would freeze you out or roast you in seconds. Oh, and the glove box? Big enough to hold every map of Texas, a flashlight, and at least 3 mystery tools you forgot you owned. Here's the best part. These interiors lasted. Sure, the seat foam might flatten, the vinyl might crack, but it all kept going. Owners often found weird surprises too, like old cigarette lighters, matchbooks from bars that no longer exist, and yes, the factory jack kit still perfectly untouched. And if you're lucky, maybe you'll even find the truck's original owner's manual with notes scribbled in pencil about oil changes from 1996. But while the interior was old-school comfy, Chevy wasn't slacking on safety either, and that's a side of this truck that doesn't get talked about enough. Next up, the surprisingly advanced safety features for its era. You might think 1,994 inches means zero safety. Nope. First off, driver's side airbag. That was big news back then. Trucks were just starting to catch up with cars on safety tech, and Chevy made sure Silverado drivers got a real upgrade. Then you had four-wheel ABS. That was also new and a big selling point. Imagine hitting wet roads with a full load of lumber in the bed and not sliding straight into a ditch. And let's not forget the crumple zones. The front was designed to absorb impacts while the passenger cell stayed rigid. It was one of the first trucks where Chevy really invested in crash engineering, and that investment paid off, because even today, when you see an old Silverado get into a fender bender, it often drives away like it's offended. Owners have literally said they hit a deer and barely spilled their coffee. But safety and durability weren't the only lasting legacies. Because this truck changed how Americans thought about pickups forever. So let's wrap it all up with the biggest secret of them all, how the '94 Silverado built a legend that lives on. So what's the verdict? The 1994 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 wasn't just a truck, it was a revolution on 4 wheels. It gave you power with that legendary 5.7 LV8, a tough-as-nails frame, a suspension that handled work and comfort, and an interior built to survive real life. It taught Chevy and all of us that trucks weren't just farm tools anymore. They were daily drivers, family haulers, adventure machines. And decades later, they're still on the road. Still towing, still working, still making new fans. That's why the '94 Silverado is more than old steel. It's living history on wheels. So tell me in the comments, did you own one? Want one? Have any hilarious or terrifying stories about yours? And don't forget, smash that subscribe button like you're shifting into overdrive while outrunning a thunderstorm. This is AB Tech Lab, where every car has a story, and we're here to uncover them all. Until next time, keep wrenching, keep riding, and keep discovering.